Hello again to all subscribers and listeners of this channel. This is part 2 of my video series about toy animation and what they should be producing instead of DragonBallSuper. It's entitled, What Toys Should Have Done Instead of DragonBallSuper, Part 2. Now in Part 1, I broke down who the Saiyans were and what they were doing in the Badlands of Planet Vegeta before their confrontation with the Tsufurians. In this video, here I will break down what happens next after the Saiyans successfully invade and defeat the Tsufurians in their major cities and drive them out of existence. We will also look much more deeply into what happens between the Saiyans defeating the Tsufurians and the final destruction of Planet Vegeta at the hands of Frieza. So this entire storyline is going to be between those two major events in this part 2 video. Without any further ado, let's go right ahead. So here's the rest of the plot that I imagined. Enter the Saiyan-Tsufurian War. So in part 1, we left off just as the Saiyans defeated the Tsufurians after transforming into the Uzaru state. Back then, I actually want to backtrack and add a little more detail. So, now at the beginning, before the first attack against the Tsufurians, a young Saiyan is presented by his father to become the first king of the Saiyans. The father is the current ruler of the Mountain Saiyans. He has a scar over the left eye, a severe widow's peak, and hair that's about shoulder length in totality. This is Vegeta, as in the Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. This is his grandfather. And the young Saiyan that's being pushed to become the new leader is the Vegeta's father. So both of these guys are Vegeta's father and grandfather, respectively. So this Saiyan, Vegeta's grandfather, wants his son, Vegeta's father, to take the throne. He consents that his son will surpass him in strength and in success. But the son feels that it is the father's duty to lead the Saiyans to victory and to rule the entire planet. Eventually, TOEI, Vegeta's grandfather, convinces his son Vegeta to lead the Mountain Saiyans on their third and final assault on the Tsufurians. And it was Vegeta, father of Prince Vegeta of Dragon Ball Z, the one who eventually becomes King Vegeta. Hope that makes sense to everybody who's listening to this. That leads the army to stare at the full moon, come down through the clouds, transform into their Uzaru state as they descend upon the Tsufurian army. Again, the Tsufurians used everything they had. They had weapons like giant fighting robots, cherry bombs, melon grenades, banana splits, which are like slicing energy weapons, citrus mines, kiwi gun sprayers, electro-armored propulsion suits. They're also, electro-armored propulsion suits. They help them fly and actually protect them from certain amounts of energy blasts. Apple smashers. And last but not least, their mightiest weapon is the weapon called the Punch Cannon. But none of these weapons in their military arsenal is enough or is able to defeat the Saiyans in their transformed state. The cities are wasted, the infrastructure is damaged and or destroyed, and there isn't a Tsufurian left in sight. Vegeta is officially declared the king after they defeat the Tsufurians once and for all. Next is the rule of Saiyans. After some time, the Saiyans are able to rebuild much of the damaged infrastructure, reconstruct major areas to become a citadel for the Royal Saiyans and their elite warrior class. The rest of the Saiyan population relocates to different parts of the city and to smaller towns on the outskirts of where the Tsufurians used to live. They clean up the rubble that's left behind and reconstitute many living areas to their liking. After some time, they learn how to use much of the technology the Tsufurians created and even discover some armor that surprisingly helps them train and fight without sustaining as much injury. Little did the Saiyans know that the Tsufurians were actually getting ready to trade some of their technology with the Space Lord Frieza. Frieza was on his way to the planet before the Tsufurians were defeated, but he had changed of plans and delayed, not bothering to check on them. So this entire time, the planetary rule has changed, and Frieza isn't aware of it just yet. Neither are the Saiyans aware of who Frieza is or what he's up to. Enter Lord Frieza. More than a decade later, Frieza eventually does come down to the planet and eventually discovers that the Tsufurians have been decimated. He meets with the now King Vegeta and makes him an offer to work for him. King Vegeta initially refuses. He refuses the offer, and the offer was for him to remain king, but only as a proxy for Frieza's greater control and over the Saiyans, and the Saiyans could own a part of the galaxy as long as they obeyed Frieza's orders. After being refused, Frieza obliterates more than 100 Saiyan warriors without even trying, using like a simple, very small, well for him, energy blast, and he kills all these Saiyans right in front of King Vegeta. Frieza then makes a new proposition, and here are his list of his demands in the new proposition. 1. Bow to Lord Frieza and recognize Frieza as your leader. 2. King Vegeta will be allowed to rule over the Saiyans as long as they do what Frieza needs them to do. 3. Frieza will take as many Saiyans as he wants whenever he needs them at any stage in their life to complete missions for him, some of which will be to obliterate planets, enslave native populations, or wipe out entire populations on a planet. That way the planet can be bought and sold on a galactic marketplace that Frieza is in control of. 4. Frieza will pay each Saiyan on a commission for their work, including King Vegeta himself, and any future offspring will also be in the same contract of working for Frieza and being paid on commission. 5. The Saiyans will be brought into a greater empire of Lord Frieza. And 6. Finally, if King Vegeta refuses again, the entire planet and all the Saiyans on it will be obliterated by Frieza himself. Now, with these type of conditions, not wanting to see his entire population of Saiyans destroyed, King Vegeta begrudgingly cedes power to Lord Frieza. And then he rules over the Saiyans only as a proxy for Frieza's greater rulership. Life under Frieza's rule. Later, King Vegeta announces the new rulership by Lord Frieza, and he and his royal Saiyans break down how the rest of the Saiyans will live their lives. From this point onward, Frieza learns of the Saiyans' transformation ability, and is even more happy to have them work for him. He's not quite aware yet of the Super Saiyan transformation. He doesn't know about that yet. He only knows about the Zaro transformation. The Saiyans get an upgrade in much of their weaponry, tools, and ships they can pilot, etc. And they begin working for Frieza by obliterating, enslaving, and or wiping out all life from planets that are needed for Frieza's empire. The Saiyans eventually grow to enjoy this line of work and appreciate the pay. They eventually get wealthier, stronger, and happier with this type of arrangement. Even better, they now get a greater chance to enjoy their absolute favorite pastime, and that is fighting. Not just any old fighting, but fighting very strong opponents. But this time they get to fight really strong warriors on other planets instead of just fighting each other. And they get paid. And because of their Zenkai, if they fight a really strong opponent, get some injuries, and win that fight, they actually build up their power levels up faster than they used to. We see many Saiyans forming small bands that usually sleep, eat, train, and go on missions together while under Frieza's rule. So far, so good for our Saiyan warriors. Even the royal Saiyans seem to be more at ease with these arrangements. But all is not well under Frieza's empire. The envy of the Saiyans. Eventually, the Saiyans get into real trouble. Because of their love for fighting and their unique physiology, Saiyans increase their power levels faster than any other alien species working for Frieza, as he continues to dominate the entire galaxy. This has some serious effects on the others within Frieza's empire. First, a few facts. 1. Saiyans are relatively smaller in population. They outnumber the elite forces like the Ginyu Force, but they are vastly outnumbered by Frieza's other workforces. 2. Towards the end of their reign, the Saiyans were the fourth most powerful single race or species of alien beings working under Frieza in some capacity. 3. Unlike most other alien species, Saiyans have rapid healing abilities due mostly to the green plant sap from their home planet and their Zenkai ability. This allows them to grow stronger faster than most other alien species, including the species Frieza is a member of. 4. In their Uzaru state, the top 12 Royal Saiyans and a handful of Common Saiyans are of the few who are actually in their Uzaru state have a power level equal to that of the Ginyu Force, who is Frieza's second strongest force of fighters throughout his entire empire. So only in their Uzaru state were they tied for second place in terms of fighting power of anyone who worked under Frieza. Number 5. And it's around this time that Frieza learns about the other Saiyan transformation. Frieza somehow learns about the Super Saiyan transformation and becomes worried that it might become actual reality at some point in the future. So now, back to the problem the Saiyans are facing. Other bounty hunters and contractors with Frieza are becoming increasingly jealous of the number of planets that the Saiyans are able to put on the market for Frieza's empire. They're angry that the Saiyans are getting stronger and making increasingly more money at their job than they are. So the Saiyans are making more money than the other species that work under Frieza's empire, and there's a jealousy building because of that. Some Saiyans are already speaking about a possible overthrow of King Vegeta because their power levels are increasing so rapidly, and they feel like they might be getting close to the same power levels of the Royal Saiyans. Also, Frieza starts noticing that their powers are increasing much more quickly than anyone else. Again, he becomes worried, especially now that he's aware of what may be another transformation that no one has been able to achieve yet. And finally, many of the Saiyans are growing ever more resentful of Frieza because of some of the regulations that the Saiyans, have to abide by. Mainly 2. And the 2 of them that they're getting really, really irritated by are the commissions going down if they miss too many jobs because of injuries or whatever. And the second thing that's really starting to bother them is the fact that many Saiyans are sent to conquer planets when they're very young. Something a growing number of the adult Saiyans reject because the child may lack parental bonding that they feel that the child needs in order to become a strong warrior and gain more knowledge about being a Saiyan and what a Saiyan is. And they're afraid that the child Saiyan might become weaker than their true potential in terms of their power level and their strength if they're sent to another planet too soon. Probably because most planets tend to have a weaker gravity and a less intense environment than planet Vegeta. So those are 2 main things that are starting to worry the Saiyan warriors in general. So again, they're worried about the commissions going down too much if they miss a job because of an injury, and they're worried about the young Saiyans being sent off way too young to conquer planets where they don't bond with other Saiyans, and the other planet may inadvertently make them weaker than they should be. Fall of the Saiyans. We finally get to the last part of this long alternative storyline where we see the same story as Bardock, father of Goku. And I have a link to that in the description, so you'll see what I'm talking about. But everything leads up to that with a little more background added to it. In my storyline, we will see Planet Vegeta's destruction from the viewpoint of the Royals, the Common Saiyans, the surface of the planet, and finally from Frieza's point of view as he's destroying it. We'll see Bardock try and fail to warn the others. We see the tensions build just before King Vegeta confronts Frieza. We also get to see where Nappa and Raditz were when this was going on, and what planets they were on, what they were doing at the time. Also, some bonus things that I would like to see. 1. A fight between 2 female Saiyans in the street with multiple male Saiyans watching, including Bardock and his crew. 2. The death of what appears to be the last Tsufurian dying in King Vegeta's outstretched hand. 3. King Vegeta's Oozaru form facing the Punch Cannon. 4. The Saiyans transforming at night, dropping through the clouds as they descend from the sky on top of the Tsufurians for the last time. 5. 4 different storylines I would like to see, which we're going to be following 4 different groups of Saiyans in their daily lives as warriors and workers for Frieza's empire. Would love to see that. Number 6. I would love to see so badly the childhood of Bardock and King Vegeta. Would love to see Goku and Vegeta's parents when they were young. That would be very interesting to see. In fact, also I would like to see even more background about Vegeta and Goku's mothers. Now that would be very, very interesting. And number 7. The last scene that I would like to see is the Saiyans fighting and training in the lava valleys, the mountains, the deserts, and inside the flaming tornadoes and flaming typhoons. That whole entire storyline is something that I think Toei Animation should be working with. And I hope I'm not the only one that thinks that this would be a good idea. So that's what I think, and I think that'd be awesome. So yeah, that's my idea for a flashback series of DBZ. I would have called it, I guess, Dragon Ball A, as in Dragon Ball in the beginning. That's exactly the type of idea I would like to see. Would you like to see it? Do you think it's a good idea? Go ahead and tell me what you think in the comment section. And with that, that's all for now. Please like, subscribe, share, and donate to support the channel. You have a nice day. I'm out. Peace.